Welcome to East St. Paul's planning meeting. I'll call the meeting to order, the time being 5:30. I'll call for the adoption of the agenda for resolution.
Be resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
I have a mover, please. Councillor Postuma, second by Councillor Duval. Call for the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Being down to item number 4 is the confirmation of the minutes from February 11th for resolution.
Be resolved that the council meeting minutes of the February 11th, 2025 regular council meeting be approved.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Imhoff, seconded by Councillor Postumus. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. We don't have any delegations this evening. Under bylaws, we have 6.1 for resolution for first reading.
Be resolved that bylaw number 2025-3 being a bylaw of the Arm of East St. Paul to amend the zoning bylaw 2009-4 including the first reading.
Madam Mayor, I'll just take council briefly through this bylaw before you review your decision on this. So as you know, this is bylaw 2025-03. It's for a property located on Wenzel Street, and it's to rezone the property to a highway commercial zone. Property is a split zone. Just a second. So here's the location map outlining where the property is located immediately south of the Burger Highway and then west of Wenzel. And here you can see the zoning of the property currently as the LCR limited commercial residential zone on the majority of it. That's that pinkish kind of color. Then the brown color is the no residential 2 or 2 acre zone. And they're proposing to go to a CH private commercial zone, which is similar to the which is the red zone, which is across from the north. Typically at first reading, we don't do a deep dive into the analysis just because after first reading, we schedule a public hearing, and that's when we get comments from the government agencies as well as do a thorough investigation. But we do like to have a little bit of a review of it to give council some ideas of what our office is thinking of it. There are some things to note about this. So generally, the zoning bylaw and amendments to it have to conform to. So we looked at the development plan. This area is designated as a general development designation. And in terms of commercial uses, it gives us some clues to what kind of commercial uses are allowed in the GD designation of the development plan. It outlines that neighborhood commercial is supposed to be in the form of small retail types of commercial ventures to service the local population. This could be small retail, convenience commercial, small restaurants, that sort of thing. Looking at the zoning bylaw and the CH zone, or the purpose of it is outlined in the zoning bylaw, it allows for commercial developments along major highways. This is a more intensive type of a commercial use than local commercial types of zones. Some of the uses that are permitted or conditional within the CH zone, I would say are more regional oriented types of commercial. You can have things like self-storage, spectators, entertainment establishments. That could be like movie theaters, things like of that sort of nature. Surface parking lots, general retail, big box retail, government service, hotels, light industrial, contractor services, parking establishment. The list goes on and on. So as I know, this is are regional type of mix. Where the development plan notes that this really should be a local kind of commercial area. That being said, just north of this area, as I noted on the map, there is a commercial highway zone in red, and it has the same type of designation in your development plan. That being said, our office would recommend that this bylaw as presented is not consistent with the development plan, and perhaps should continue on to a first reading resolution. However, if council wants to give a first reading, that's absolutely of your decision. And if you do so, And that would trigger the public hearing process, which would allow us to do more in-depth analysis and collect all those comments from the government agencies, as well as a public hearing to get to then hear from the applicant as well as the neighbors. So, Mayor, if you also have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
Okay, great. So my first question is, do you know how the depth of the lot is? There's nothing in our package that tells us that.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can always pull the GIS and measure it out for you if you'd like.
That'd be great. So while you're doing that, I'll see if any other members of council have a question.
Yes, the commercial area to the north of the highway across the road, did it go through this kind of a change or this kind of a problem with the development plan? The general development plan, do you remember?
It had the same designation, part of it was zoned already, and a small little piece was already zoned, I think, when St. Paul became part of the planning district, and then there was subsequent rezonings.
Okay, and the second question, this general development plan, do you know how approximately how old it is?
Since the
2019.
adoption of the current bylaw, which was August 2020.
2020.
That's when the RRPD development plan rolled the East St. Paul development plan into it.
Now, the 2020, the commercial area on the north side of the highway was already underway. So I guess I'd have to ask the question, why wasn't the general development plan changed to the south side accordingly? Because it's a mirror image.
Well, it's not necessarily a mirror image, but we'll find out.
I'm asking the planner if that was considered.
Sorry, in 2020?
Yeah.
I can't recall. It's true.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
In terms of the depth of the property, and you can see it there, let's say 3,000 feet, give or take.
This way depth, like off the highway, yeah.
Oh, from the highway? Like this way?
The width of it, yeah.
So let's say 300, 350, something like that.
Yep. And there's no service road, or is there? There's no service road that runs along that property currently,
No.
along the side of the perimeter?
It's
No.
just access road, so that's.
Yeah, so the access will come off Wenzel, they'll have to create a road there, and then they'll potentially have units coming off of that road. Did they provide a design?
And I should say now that's in terms of a road, it could be a private road. It could just be one complete development, and after rezoning is done, then it doesn't come back to council for.
Mhm.
That's always a possibility of rezones.
Council have any other questions? Councillor Imhoff, no?
Nothing off the top of my head here. That's very little information other than, you know, a deep dive happens if we give this first reading. So it'd be nice to have the more information.
I guess what the planning department is saying is that we went through the exercises starting in 2018, or when did you start rolling it over into the overall development plan with RRPD?
Oh,
That was a couple of years,
a
or?
couple of years. I think we started about 2018 with background research and with the ultimate adoption in summer.
Okay. Councillor Duval, this is your community, I understand.
Yes, it's Ward 3.
Do you want to provide council with your opinion on moving forward to a public hearing process?
Well, I definitely believe it should go to the first reading. I think we should pass first reading, as the planner explained clearly, that initiates more detailed public input and any other debate and arguments, yes or no, about the whole project. That's really the question is, should it be put on a table for further consideration? And that is absolutely yes. That's what first reading is all about, correct?
That's correct. With council gives bylaw first reading, and it continues on. Council can always not give first reading. The Planning Act is pretty clear. They can do that in 3 different instances. One of them would be if it's without merit, one of them would be if it doesn't appear to the development plan, one of them would be if you already rejected a similar application within a year timeframes.
Okay.
That's always the question, that's the board council.
Right, so RRPD is recommending not to proceed with first reading because it is designated commercial, but smaller scale commercial, and they're requesting larger scale commercial. Is that a good summary of?
It's correct.
Okay. So I need a mover and a second. Does anybody have anything else to add to that?
I would be in the same mood to go to first reading to see what's actually gonna come in there and what it looks like.
Well, you should know what might, I mean, you'll never know what will,
Then we have a second. Then
Yeah.
Discussion.
okay, I can do that.
Um,
Moved by Counselor Postumus, seconded by Counselor Duval. I'll open the floor up for discussion. You're not gonna, there'll be a layout as to the lots, but you're not gonna know what's gonna go in there until as the other side of the highway, when those businesses came forward for conditional uses or variances, that's when we started learning what was going in. You're only gonna see the overall layout of the design of the commercial development and how many units they would like to see in there. You're not gonna know what's gonna go in there, but you have to understand that through the CH zoning, there are certain business types that can go in, and then through the smaller scale list. You're either gonna have, let's compare it to maybe a strip mall with a dog store or a pet store or a coffee shops, that type of commercial. Or you would have a trucking company, a moving company, a landscaping company, that type of commercial.
Similar as the opposite side.
Right, similar as the opposite side.
Exactly.
And keep in mind, you have residential right behind it. Okay, so if everybody understands, we're good. I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, now moving to public hearings. We have 2 public hearings this evening. 7.1 is our first one. For resolution to open the public hearing.
Resolved that council, with hearing of council for variation number 138/2024. 3184 and 3188 Henderson Highway.
I have a mover. Counselor Imhoff, seconded by Counselor Duval. Call for the question. All those in favor? The public hearing is now open, and I'll pass the floor off to Mr. Planner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As already noted, this variance is for a property, or 2 properties actually located along Henderson Highway. The purpose of it is to allow for an attached garage to be larger than what your zoning bylaw currently is. So the maximum size of an attached garage, when attached to the house, is 1,200 square feet. The applicant is proposing 2,962 square feet. So this is in the R117 zone. Here are the 2 properties. You can see outlined by the black hash mark. Property lines split down the middle. I should note there is a related subdivision later on in the evening on your docket to change that common boundary line.
Mhm.
The applicant is proposing to construct a new house in the back of the property area, closer towards the water. And here is a layout site plan of the new house. So you can see the garage attached there. Garage is kind of 2 parts. So it's this piece here, as well as this piece over here, part of the garage. And some elevations showing the garage layouts attached to the house there. See, there's a version of, as you can see, it's from the front as well as from the side. Oops. And should council wish to approve this, there are a couple standards conditions in your dockets, which are all variances, one is just that the variances for what's presented, so if anything changes in terms of layout, sizes, has to come back to council, as well as that the applicant needs to obtain all required approvals from our office, your office, and likely from highways as well, because it's. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Councilor Duval?
I know it's here somewhere, but the area of those two titles combined is the lot area?
One property is about 2.2 acres and the other one is about 1.8 acres in size.
But they're really building on a combined lot kind of thing.
Yeah.
I found it now, I believe the total is 3.25 acres.
3.25 acres, yeah, they're proposing one lot at the front, which is about 0.6, and then you're right, and then the one with the house where we're talking about here would be about 3.25, give or take.
Thank you.
Sir Posthumous?
I guess they don't have it why they need such a big garage. It's 3 times the size.
I'm here.
So that's a question that we'll have to talk to the applicant about. Right, but the planner can speak to the application if you have any questions.
So it's approximately 3 times, usually it's 1,200 and you're going almost 3,000.
And the max area coverage of a structure on that land would be?
The coverage is. %.
So he's got roughly 130-ish, 130,000 square feet of land, and he's allowed 30% of that for structure.
To cover framing.
Right, thank you. Okay, we'll go to the applicant now. Trevor from Mannington Homes is going to speak on behalf of the applicant.
So first of all, when it comes to the 1,200 square feet, that's the generic number that East St. Paul put into their bylaw. Pretty much I've searched a large part of Canada. There is no bylaw that exists like this one, except for in East St. Paul. So a average or standard size garage, maybe to you might be 1,200 square feet. But in a house that's 6,000 to 12,000 square feet, that doesn't make much sense. So I'm up here pretty much in 4 out of 5 houses I'm building in East St. Paul for a variance for this. So I know last time I came, you guys said you were gonna look at your bylaws and maybe restructure them a bit. I don't understand the purpose of this bylaw because it's attached to the house. So it doesn't really affect anything in the municipality. It's not like it's a business running through it. It's not like it's a detached garage. I can understand it in acreage where there's detached garages, because somebody might be running a business or parking commercial equipment there. But to me, as a homeowner, if I was living next door and the guy wanted 3,000 square feet to put his boat and all his stuff inside the garage so that the neighbor doesn't look at it, I think it's a beneficial part of building a house in East St. Paul. Makes the neighborhood nicer. So, you know, I'm coming across this all the time. There is no standard size to a garage. People just want large garages because they have a lot of things they may store in there. Me not being one of them, but I mean, most of the houses that I'm building that are large now are very large garages, way over 1,200 square feet. That's a standard 3-car garage, right?
Okay, thank you. Councilor Posthumous.
Standard two-car garage, isn't that 800 square feet?
Standard two-car garage can be, yeah, probably 700 to 900, you know, give or take. If
I live in Sperry Gardens, they're all two-car garages, so I don't see any 1,200.
You'll have to speak up just a little.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
I don't see very many 1,200 square foot garages.
It's a standard three-car.
Yeah.
And every house I build now is a three-car.
So this would be a 9-car garage, a 10-car garage.
Yeah, probably give or take. I don't know, he might fit more in there. So,
Does anybody else have any questions?
No,
Thank you. We also have Daryl Costa. You kind of broke up your letters here, so do you want to speak to the application? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Would.
It's up to you.
Not really a lot to say. Just a lot line adjustment.
Oh, no, sorry, we're speaking to the garage right now, the variance for the
Oh,
garage.
sorry,
If you signed in,
in favor,
okay, great, thank you. Thank you.
agreeing with all the points that Trevor made, because yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll close the public hearing then, the resolution.
Be resolved that council closed the public hearing of council for variation order 138, 2024. 3184 and 3188 Henderson Highway.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Imhoff, second by Counselor Duval. I'll call for the question. All those in, I'm closing the public hearing now. Yeah, all those in favor? It's carried. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So open the floor up for no, I need the resolution to open up. So I need the resolution now.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 58800 and 58900 located at 3184 and 3188 Henderson Highway has made application for variation order 138, 2024 to increase the maximum attached accessory building area from 1,200 square feet to 2,962 square feet to allow for the proposed attached garage to be constructed on the subject property. Therefore, be it resolved that variation order 138, 2024 be approved with the following conditions. This variance is limited to what has been presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions would require a new variance approval. And applicant owner obtains all required permits from the Red River Planning District, MTI Water Review, and the municipality if required.
Thank you. Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Imhoff, second by Counselor Duval. I'll open the floor up for discussion. And I'll start by saying that this is a common request in the RM. And because of lot coverage, you have to consider that someone can build to capacity of lot coverage. And it doesn't really matter what they use that space for, right? That's their entitlement. And yes, we have this restriction on attached garage sizes, but the attached garage that's proposed is not disproportionate to the house that's proposed. I could see a complaint coming forward if it was a 3,000 square foot garage and a 1,200 square foot house. I could understand that, but you know, moving forward, I think that we should review this, and thank you for reminding us, Trevor. We have to, you know, open it up a little bit because these variances are costly. People come forward, they take up a lot of, I can't speak to you right now, I apologize. They take up administration's time, and we usually end up at the same result. So I support the variance order tonight, and then I'll just go around the table if anybody has anything to add. Councillor Duval.
No, I support their variance, mainly because it's the total area is 3.5 acres, 3.25, and that's bigger than our residential, many of our residential properties. So the whole structure fits the surroundings, we'll put it that way. So I do support it. I'm not so sure we should rejig our 1,200 square foot requirement. It's you know, that there are times when it comes to us where it is important, that's 1,200 square feet. But
Well, we'll
anyway.
bring that for resolution and debate it then. Counselor Imhoff?
No, I'm in support of this as well. Combination of those two properties, it's a very large property. This wouldn't seem out of place. Makes sense, and we've done them before.
Exactly. Okay, Counselor Posthumous?
Yeah, just because of the property it fits on, that's the only way I would support it, but there are areas that it wouldn't fit, obviously, on smaller lots. I guess we don't put in it that it's for personal use only.
You'll have to
If it
talk,
ever
you'll have
gets
to talk to
sold,
the chair.
that it ever gets sold, or someone could run a business, a woodworking shop, whatever, we've had that happen before. And we've had to go in with.
Well, I think that someone could run a business out of a closet if they wanted to, so the size doesn't really matter, right? And when you're talking about it won't fit on other lots, well, you're going back to your max coverage for a lot. So if you were, these lots are stuck in a R17 zoning, right, Kara?
Yes.
So, but they're not R17, they're not 17,000 square feet, they're acres. So if you're considering, we'll give an example of Countryside Crossing, 10,000 square foot lots, right? So the coverage is less. So a 3,000 square foot garage wouldn't work because, you know, your house has to have some portion of that. So I think that a little bit out of context, to tell you the truth, but I think we can review it, and if you support it tonight, that's great. Other than that, I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, moving on to 7.2, variation order 2.
Be resolved that council open the public hearing of council for variation order 2, 2025 for 4015 Ross Farm Road.
Can I have a mover, please? Duval, seconded by Councillor Posthumous. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. The public hearing is now open, and I'll pass the floor off to Mr. Planner.
Thank you, Mayor. This variance is twofold. It's one to increase the number of accessory structures that are allowed on the property, as well as to allow for the storage of commercial vehicles within the residential to residential zone. So specifically under the R2 zone, variance section 28.63. Which only allows you to have 2 accessory buildings going up to 4, as well as varying section of the bylaw, section 77, that deals with the storage of trailers, unlicensed vehicles, that sort of thing, which notes that storage is not to be used for commercial purposes unless specifically allowed in the zone. So it's varying back to allow for storage of commercial use. I'll get to that in just a moment. Here is the subject property. See access from Ross Farm Road. It's rather long. River lots. The property is just a hair under 5.5 acres in size. It's about 140 feet site width. Here is the applicant's site plan that they provided. In terms of the accessory buildings, there's a pool, a detached garage, and then 2 sheds, which I believe are 10 by 10 sheds. So that equals the floor, and then same site plan showing the parking for the equipment. And the parking for the equipment that we're talking about is a commercial truck and trailer, and that information is provided in the document in front of you, the letter of intent. They note that's commercial 1999 International Civil Act truck, and trailers, and perhaps a skid steer, and that sort of thing that you want to store on the property. So there's no businesses operating out of the property, but they want to store that stuff on the property. So that would be served to that. That's all I have on this, Madam Mayor. I believe you were forwarded a couple of emails.
Yeah.
2 objection letters.
Yeah, 2 objection letters. I'm not
They're
sure.
in your
generally read those
Virtual,
out?
no, they're not in there, they didn't make it till today, so.
Oh, it's in my,
Okay, would you like me to just read them out? Or-
you could, yeah, please.
Okay, I'll just do that quickly. Good afternoon, I'm unable to attend the public hearing this evening, however, I wish to express my objection to both requests and experience of storage of equipment and the business being conducted at this location. It's a disruption to the community and needs to stop. Caitlin Loran at 4005 Ross Corner Road. And the other one is Jeremy Robson of 4025 Ross Farm Road. I'm not in favor of the application to store commercial vehicles at the residence of 4015 Ross Farm Road. I understand the applicant wants to store his single axle dump truck and his car hauler trailer, which will cause excessive wear to the service road, which has been an ongoing battle for maintenance, but also for excessive noise for this residential community. For the art approved the new residential development a short time ago on Daleway Road. The concern I have with this is about the bulldozer, triple axle trailer, and the applicant asked for this business as well as some other small commercial machinery. It's just in the beginning. Since the applicant's taken ownership of the property, he has been building it up with material. He has brought in from his job sites, truck, example, asphalt, concrete, grinding material, which that is. Things that we brought home and couldn't be used for fill has been pushed to the back of this property. And the coyotes have made a den, which is concerning as I have 3 small children. The applicant's with the property doesn't support this application as is also the smallest on the block. And once again, that was forwarded from Jerry Robson of 4025. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Councilor Imhoff.
Not sure if this is more for Mr. Planner or for the applicant, but I'm a little confused as to this is like commercial equipment being stored at a residential property, but the business isn't being run out of the residential property or being done there. Like, I'm not sure how does that work? Like, so I'm very confused here with this. Like, it's not being, so I'm not sure if that's something you can answer or if we wait till the applicant comes up when
I think it's probably for the applicant to address how that's all.
okay.
You'll just have to wait till I call you up. Apologize. Council, do you have any other questions for the planner?
I was gonna have the similar question if they're, to me, for bringing equipment home and it's starting over there, that's where the business is run out of. As an office where they start, so we'll wait for the applicant.
Okay. So now if you would like to come up, if you're the applicant, I'll have you tell me your name and obviously your address is 4015 Ross Farm Road.
Name's Gil, good evening.
Just turn it on for him.
So the equipment I have is just a single axle dump truck and a trailer. And we used to actually bring up materials, we don't do that anymore. I didn't know about the laws. So Trevor came over, the bylaw officer, so he told me not to bring the materials, so I stopped doing that. I cleaned up the site. Now we just want to, if possible, this part. And we won't be operating during late or early hours with the noise. So I'm just so Trevor, bylaw officer, told me I should file a variance to do this proper, follow the rules, do it properly.
Okay, thank you. Just don't walk away for a second. Councilor Imhoff, do you have questions now?
I'm still confused. If you're using this equipment to conduct your business elsewhere, this seems to me like you're using your property as the home base for the business. Am I way off base here or?
There's no business operating on the property, no materials or anything. We're just using parking. And then parking this because it's not really a big equipment. A dump truck and a small trailer. So
What is your business?
a grading, log grading.
Lot grading?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go, So you're parking your equipment and then leaving the site and going to job sites.
Yes.
But you have no customer base coming to your,
No question. Yeah, before that, I was bringing in materials, I made the mistakes that we did, and bylaw officer came over. He explained that I shouldn't do these things, and yeah, he said I should file the variance, do everything properly with compliance, so that's why I did. We're going to follow that.
okay, and is it your intent to have any kind of coverage storage, or is it just to park it on the property?
Just park it on the property for now, hopefully in the future I can close it.
Counselor Postumus?
You said parking for now and in future and close it, well. The variance request says boats, trailers, unlicensed vehicles, cargo trailers and motorhomes, is that just? You wanna do storage?
Not like not storing boats or anything, just the dump truck and the trailer.
Just charging vehicles, not other people storing,
No,
like a storage site where you would be renting out for people to bring motorhomes and trailers and stuff.
this is my dump truck and trailer, yes, sir.
Counselor Duval?
Your business was advertised on Google Maps, was it not?
Yes, that was,
And you even have your own website promoting your service.
the thing is, in order to list anything on Google Maps, bring your business, like, market it or anything, you have to have a physical address. So I use that address, but over time, I feel like, their Google found out, they removed it, so it's okay, I don't mind that. But,
So this equipment that you want to store, you just mentioned a tractor trailer, but there are skid steers that come and go out of there as well, isn't there?
two skid steer, one is the walk behind, another one is the compact.
So are you storing those too, or are those active machines for business?
For business only, they're gonna be remaining on the trailer. That's,
Do you have any other area where you leave these pieces of equipment overnight or over the weekend between jobs?
no other area.
So you're operating out of this location, coming and going with construction equipment. When you have jobs, you go to your job site, you do the work, you bring it back and when the day's over. The next day you leave with this equipment to go to another job site and back again. So every day some equipment is going back and forth. When it's back and forth like that and in full operation, that isn't storage. That's a business site. You're running a business out of that location and that is your construction yard. That's the way it's defined in the bylaws.
Yeah, like, in the area, there's multiple people, who had like a tandem truck and, big trailers on the same street. So, following their example, I thought, why not? Apply for the variance and, I can park the truck and trailers, not a super big trailers, that's pretty decent.
I think the point is, Mr. Applicant, you're not parking things. You're using it as a construction, as your home-based construction site. It's not parking.
Any further questions for the applicant?
But daily, like commute, like, I'm very respectful to that, we're not operating during late or early hours, so it's not noise hazard or, it's just going in and out respectfully and, basically working it. Whenever there's a job and taking out.
I have one question just for the resolution. Is it a flatbed trailer? I looked it up, it looked like it's a flatbed trailer or?
It's like a car hauler trailer, nothing super regular. Yes.
It would be called flatbed trailer.
Yeah, like a Suzuki lightweight, one of those flat ones are really
Yeah.
like heavy ones, semi ones, but this is like a really light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So like 13,000 plus pounds or. Yeah.
How long is the trailer?
This is a 28 feet.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. Is it your father? Is it Mr. Gill is your father?
That's my point.
Does he wish to speak?
My English is not.
That's okay. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Just I can try to explain. So which community or municipality I'm living. So other people have some facilities like that. So when I follow my guideline. So I say that's all.
Okay, thank you. Charles, do you have, if you want to ask a question, because we're in a public hearing process, you're gonna have to ask that out loud. Okay. Okay, do you want to close the public hearing? Okay, for resolution, please.
The result that council closed the public.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Do I have someone in just a minute? I have someone in opposition. I'm really off my point today. I'm sorry. Do you wish to speak to the application? Yeah, I apologize. Come on up to the podium. When Charles started talking off here, I totally lost my train of thought.
We live right next door to the applicants. And when we got the notice in the mail, I went and we met with the planning district because we weren't sure exactly what he was asking for. Like it says, the applicant proposes to have trailer storage for commercial property. And to increase the accessory buildings as he operates a truck and trailer company. And he wants to store 2 vehicles on the property. But the applicant, like, I understand that it appears to be that there's some sort of confusion, but they've been operating a business from this property for the last several years, 3 years anyways. And like, I don't understand why they indicate it's a truck and trailer business. Then they say it's a grading and landscaping business. But they do have a registered business by the name at that property, which is a landscaping and grading company. It has the registered office as well as the mailing address to that residence. So there is a business that is being operated from that address. And the bylaw that we were informed about when we got the notice in the mail indicates that no commercial equipment is to be stored there. Yet now, and for the past 3 years, there has been, and as the other neighbor on the other side said, Jeremy, he indicated that, and I agree with, it just grows and grows and grows, and there's more and more and more that is being added, and there's just constant noise, disruption, loading, unloading, beeping, banging. We have increase of rodents in the area because of it's been used as a dumping grounds to dump materials. Yes, we get damage and ruts on the roads from the constant heavy equipment. And this is every day, 7 days a week, from as early as 5 a.m. And this is last like early spring to late fall. This is a seasonal company. So basically, weather permitting, this is operating for a good 8 months at least of the year. And when we reviewed the package that the RRPD gave us, it's very confusing because they gave us a picture of the truck and trailer that they wanna store on this property. And then when you add in the questions that they have in the package, it says, how many work vehicles do you have? And they list and give details of a dump truck and a trailer. But they have more than one trailer, and they have much more equipment than this truck and trailer. So when I asked what they were asking for, they said, well, just the truck and trailer. But then when you read the letter of intent, it's totally different. He's indicating that the truck, the trailer, and equipment such as a skid steer will be parked on my property. So yeah, it's not clear, and I don't know, it's just that's how it all started. And as Jeremy also mentioned, it just grew. That's initially what was being conducted out of that property. But yeah, I had forgotten about, but Jeremy mentioned they do have a big bulldozer and other equipment that isn't listed. And when you look at the diagrams that they provide, like there's like the sheds, as you noted, like this is very narrow and the smallest property in that stretch, and it's very narrow if you look at the diagram of the property. And it looks like a lot of these buildings are already on or close to the property line. If you look at some of the numbers, which the Red River Planning District was able to help me with some of them, but a lot of them they couldn't even read from the diagram. But it says the detached garage from the property line is 141 and something.
So I have to stop you because we can only speak to the applicant's request tonight. We can't speak to his structures because that's not in question. Are we
We are, so.
questioning the structures?
So you're aware the structures are existing, but he's wants to increase from 2 to 4.
But I asked him that and he said he wasn't certain, so, okay, a little
That is from
confusing.
the application that we received.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
So the detached garage from the property line indicates 141 feet. And then the width that they indicate on this diagram is 144, which according to the RRPD is not possibly accurate. But if the garage is 141 feet from the property line and your property is only 144 feet wide, where is the detached garage? And then if you look also on the, when you're looking at the diagram on the left, I can't read how far the garage is from the property line. But is that from the garage or is that from the lean-to that's attached to the garage that isn't visible in this picture? And then they show specifically that parking area, which I couldn't read again, and the RRPD indicated that in the square, it says a parking area 20 feet by 45 feet long. But then the diagram shows a parking from the outside of the parking area distance is 94 feet, and then on the other side to the property line is 45 feet. Well, that's again 139 feet. So what is the parking area, just a couple of feet wide? Like it's not very accurate. And I mean, in the questions, they indicate that they have an SUV and a pickup, personal pickup. That pickup is used for the business. Like we've seen the pickup hauling equipment with the trailers, unloading, loading, like it's definitely used for the business. So there's just so many discrepancies, and I think that there's probably more discrepancies if you could only read all of the diagram, but I mean, like a lot of the information appears to be misleading. The half ton, for instance, has a company logo. As I said, it's used daily for the business. And if no commercial equipment, is used, on this property for, personal reasons, like landscaping or snow blowing, like they have personal equipment to do that, a tractor and a snow blower, so it's not like they're needing this commercial equipment at their property. They've also constructed a secondary driveway on or near the property line where equipment goes back and forth all the time when all of this shouldn't have even been happening. If you look at the comments, the RM indicates that they've received complaints, and the RRPD's response to that was, we want to note that the complaints indicated were from 2023 and 2024. Well, this is a seasonal business. 2025 hasn't happened yet, so to make it appear that these complaints, whatever they were, I mean, you're not gonna get complaints in the middle of winter for a seasonal company. So, as I said, this commercial business runs early spring to late fall. The structures currently on the property, I mean, we're fine with the structures that are currently there, provided that they're in compliance with the rest of the bylaw, like side yards and fencing, if there's a requirement around the pool or anything like that, we're fine with that. But we definitely don't want an increase for accessory buildings to be 4. If those buildings as they are remain as they are with no additions, we don't have a problem with that. But if they're taken down or removed, then we don't want 4 accessory buildings to be the maximum. It should be 2 if that's what is allowed. So if no increases or no further additions to the extra buildings are allowed, we don't have a problem with what's there exactly as it is with no additions. We don't have a problem with that. But the bylaws are there for a reason. Like, everyone in the area has the right to the quiet enjoyment. And no one, I'm sure all of you don't want to be living next to a construction company. We reside in a rural residential area for a reason. There are noise bylaws, no commercial equipment bylaws, yet for the past 3 years, we haven't really been able to enjoy going outside because it's so noisy. Like, we can't sit on our deck and enjoy that. So this has been going on. It's an ongoing concern. It's not anything that, as the RRPD suggests, is something in the past. It's ongoing. There's still at this time commercial equipment being stored at this property and a commercial business being conducted. Come spring, that's what's going to be happening, whether you're parking there or coming and going. It's the same effect. It's noise, it's disruption. I mean, sometimes it's 5 a.m. in the morning, 7 days a week, holidays, every day. Like, this is ongoing. I think the only solution is to respect the bylaws and the neighbors in the area and have all the commercial equipment off the property. And none of the equipment should be returning to the property. We have no doubt that the current conduct of this property will continue unless both variances are rejected. We want to reclaim our enjoyment of our rural property. And the only way to ensure that is that there's no commercial activity at this property. We're in rural residential. The allowance of any part of this variance will put us back to square one. I don't think that the application or the applicant are being forthright in providing, current scenario or up-to-date or accurate information. And the RRPD and the RM have really done nothing in the past 3 years to stop this non-compliance of the bylaw. And the denial of these variances will hopefully give us back our right to enjoy our property. So we don't lose the 8 or so months a year that have been taken away from us for the last 3 years. We don't believe that the variations will be adhered to if there's any sort of, maybe restrictions, or I just think the variances just have to be rejected. The applicant indicated to planning district that he owns a business in Winnipeg, so please utilize that property and conduct your business from there. There's no need for anything related to the commercial business to be at the Ross Farm address. This business operates most of the year, weather permitting, of course, and vehicles coming and going is commercial activity. The bylaws, I think, have to be and haven't been respected thus far, and like I said, the only way to ensure is a rejection of both of these variances. Thank you.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Okay, I have a few questions. So your main complaint is that they start their truck and trailer up and they exit the property every morning and come back every evening, correct? Or is it that you're telling me that they're coming back throughout the day consecutively?
There have been,
Okay.
and their vehicle runs for an hour in the morning at high idle. It's not a come and go quietly. It's not come in the morning, come at night. And I mean, I think the noise bylaw is 7 AM, if I'm not mistaken. 5 AM is not the time that anyone wants to be woken up on a day off.
Okay, but regardless, it's the sound of a vehicle, and for a trailer that's 20-some feet long, he's probably pulling it with a 2500 pickup or something. He's not probably pulling it with a large truck, right? So it's just a half ton that he's starting up every day. No,
There's a half ton, there's a big truck, there's numerous trailers, there's numerous equipment. And as I said, there's unloading, loading, beeping, banging. There's not just come and go.
He mustn't get much work done if he's constantly on his property then.
Excuse me. That may be the case, but that I don't think is a fair question.
I think it's a fair question because you're telling me that he's operating on his property.
Yes.
Correct. And then you're telling me that you're complaining about him coming and going from his property. So I'm trying to understand the complaint. So I'm going to ask some questions.
He's coming and going with.
So my next question is there any other businesses in the area that have heavy equipment?
Not that we're aware of.
No.
Maybe further down, but not like that.
Okay. Okay. And so there's no one's doing any farming in the area then? They do farming?
There's some areas that are still farming, yes.
And so then they have equipment on their property that they're using for farming?
No farm nearby.
Not nearby you. Okay. Okay, any other questions? I'll wait because I think you'll be next. Any other questions? Okay. And so then we have Ray Lauren. Oh, do you have a question?
You mentioned there's a bulldozer. And you showed a picture of a larger truck, like a 5-ton or something, there you had a picture of.
Yeah, this is what the RRPD gave me.
Oh, it's not a pickup.
No, it's not a pickup.
Does the applicant
They
have
also have a pickup that they use.
the pictures?
Business. Yeah, this is.
If she has pictures, we'll take her pictures too. You want to see if he has something behind you, Suzanne?
Probably the same picture. Yeah. Yeah, it's the same one as that show. The picture. It looks like the same one.
Same one?
Yeah, same one.
Yep, same one?
Not in our package.
And the same thing, and they have more than one trailer. More than one.
The second.
And
It's the same one. Charles, if you know,
it's the same one,
No,
Charles.
no, they have pickups hauling water trucks and
And
pickups.
that's
and
okay.
another
We can have pickups, right? Todd has semis, right? Sure, Brian. Okay, I think we're good with the pictures if we're good to understand now. Thank you for that. Now, next is it your husband that wants to speak? It's Ray?
No, I don't want to speak.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we don't have anybody else signed in opposition, and we don't have anybody else signed in for information, but we will bring the applicant back up to close the having closing remarks. Yeah, you can come up.
Thank you. Yes, so everything on this property, when we bought it, all the accessory structures were already pre-existing. When I made a site plan and the planner told me, these there's accessory structures. And they found out the previous owner hasn't, put them into the record of, Red River District Plan. So the pool, like, and the other set, all the sheds, and the other detached garage, that was actually already in the database here. But other sheds like the 10x10 and the one near the pool, they weren't in that, and the pool itself. So from the previous owner, and the driveway you see there along the second driveway, that was already also there previously when we moved in. And that's why we bought the property, we're like, hey, if there's an extra driveway, why not? Everything like, the complaints, everything I understand, but the intent today is, we had a complaint come in, I respect that. But what is the intent now, what I'm gonna do in the future, respect that. I'm gonna follow through. Not start the truck early in the morning or bringing it in the late in the evening, right? The neighborhood and all that. With that, that's what I'm trying to be open. Yeah, and we do have a bulldozer, we do have 2 trailers. But I wanna only bring 1 dump truck and a trailer and the machines on top. The bulldozer, will be parked on a rental site on our work sites. So we're only bringing in a dump truck, trailer and 2 skid steers. That's the intent, that's how we're gonna be moving forward from now. No extra things. And the pickup truck we have is on personal use register. There is a logo on it, and there's a logo on the dump truck as well. That's all we have. It's a dump truck, trailer, and skid steer. Like everything that happened previously, I will go up to it. I will make sure this will not happen. The complaint doesn't come in. That's why I'm here. Like it's a lightweight truck that has a trailer and skid steer. It's be able to park and be able to see it, and you know. Yeah, when I'm parking on sites, on work sites, there's vandalism, there's theft happening a lot. Frustrations, especially with equipment like this. So that is really why, with that respect, I want to be able to park and very.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have a question? Any questions? Okay, thank you. Kara?
One note, so the garage does have a permit,
The garage has a permit. Okay,
and then the shed's undersized, it doesn't need.
it doesn't need one.
The house is the garage, we're giving permits at about 98, somewhere around there.
Okay.
The 2 sheds are under the size that requires a permit, so require permits for 107 square feet, 10 square meters. 10 by 10s.
And based on the size of the lot, what are they allowed for an outbuilding? It's 22 of them at 2,400 or 1,200 square feet?
So
I thought it was
2,400, 1,200,
205 goes up to.
okay.
Accessory structures really don't matter. I don't want, like, I wanna demolish them if they're not allowed, right?
I don't think that the sheds are a concern right now. We're just trying to determine allowable.
Yeah, my dad's saying the previous owner built it,
Okay,
and we got the property like this.
okay, thank you. Sure, yeah, you can close.
This, my background here, so morning time, people going work, same time, I need to go work, and evening time, come back, that's all. Is I don't have there is to do every day to dig out and is the like that. So just park and go work and come back. So because I have truck to go drive with any site I wanna go work, so drive and evening time, I need ride, so that's the reason, that's vehicle is come back here in my property. And also somebody say, I have a Doja, this and that, yes, I do, but that, like that equipment, I'm not bringing here on Molson and Concordia. I have there is the rental property, I'm parking there, when I started this thing, it's the inspector is came, he said, you know, you're not allowed to park here. I said, okay, because before I don't know anything. So that's all.
Okay,
So other people where I'm living, they have something, so same thing I need. I'm not, I don't need extra.
Sure.
The intent now here is to respect the neighborhood and respect the things next door, we don't commit. Yes, everyone, yeah, there's multiple other properties on Ross Run Road. You know, I'm not one of those guys that go pick on this, if he has a business, I'm gonna pick on him, take his, livelihood or whatever. You know, people have commitment here, you know, they're passionate, they're running a business. But I'm not like one of those guys that go around picking people.
thank you. Counselor Duval has a question for you, please.
Yes.
Come for a second.
How long have you had this property?
What is?
years.
I bought it in 2020.
Okay, so 5 years, so not very long ago, you just purchased this land. Did you buy it through a real estate agent, probably?
Yes.
Did you ask the real estate agent, or did you tell a real estate agent that you had this intention of doing this activity on that property? Or did you inquire anywhere that that you intend to do this property and if it was legal or not?
Yes, I don't know anything, but at that time I have a drive my car in that area. So I found is somewhere people have parking big trailer, something like that. So I thought is I'm okay too. So that's the reason I started to park. But I told you earlier, then his inspector came, he said you can't park, is the like all
Okay.
thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that's.
Thank you. Okay, I have a question, maybe Carrie, you can answer it. Ross Farm Road, is it a 65% road it goes through road restrictions? Does anybody know?
I could look at on June.
Here it is.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Gravel, eh?
Service.
Yeah,
There's layer.
Sure, it would be, it's actual. No, it's not. It's not 65%. Since the town took it over, it just became, they got the signs on it now. That's exactly percent.
yeah, the road restriction signs, yeah.
It never used to be, but now.
It never used to be. Oh. When the province owned it, they didn't restrict it, interesting.
Well, they didn't.
Mhm. Mhm.
He doesn't have a layer on his program.
No,
They go in my office and talk.
no, it's fine. If they say there's a sign up, then they're, I don't know. Suzanne, do you know if there's a sign up? There should be. However, we did put a operations building on a 65% road at one time in this RM, so now all our equipment rolled down there every day during the spring and the winter and whatnot. So sometimes I wonder.
Sarah?
Different when you're the one that has to fix it.
Yeah.
He may not be over Carla though, if he's asking for just the.
Oh, yeah.
the skid steer
Yeah.
rates. If
Mhm,
he brings his Caterpillar, he definitely will. The skid steer may not be used.
mhm.
If that problem problems.
The single axle. Like to.
Do we have anybody signed in online? No, okay. Suzanne, am I able to take a 5-minute recess? Okay, thank you.
Public hearing still open?
It's still open, but I'm asking if I can take a recess and she says that I can, so I'm gonna adjourn for 5 minutes. Council is now back and the public hearing is still open. Council, do you have any further questions?
Nope.
No? Okay,
We've got confirmation on the road restrictions.
Yes, 65%.
okay, thank you. So the road is restricted. Okay, Suzanne, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, if my recommendation is that we table this, do I need a mover and a seconder? Okay. Okay, and do we vote on the table? Because we've always had that question. Okay, great. So I'll have a mover to close the public hearing. Councillor Posthumous, second by Councillor Duval. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. The public hearing is now closed. And now for resolution.
The applicant owner tax roll number 69807 at 4015 Ross Farm Road has submitted an application for variation order 2/2025. The request seeks approval to increase the number of accessory structures on the property from 2 to 4 and to permit the storage of 2 commercial vehicles, provided that no commercial business will be conducted on site. Therefore, be it resolved that variation order 2/2025 be approved with the following conditions. This variance is limited to what has been presented in this application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions would require a new variance approval. And 2 work vehicles will include a dump truck and flatbed trailer.
Is there, can we separate the resolution for the structures? From the storage? No, because it was one application?
If you're making a decision.
It's one application, so
Okay.
it's one thing. Now, if council wanted to end the. Let's do that to approve all, to approve the parts.
Okay.
Add conditions, that's.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know if we could separate it. Okay, so do I have a mover and a seconder? No. Counselor, all right, will you move it, Counselor Duval?
This is just for the resolution?
Yeah, we're not making the decision next.
Yes. Yeah, all,
By Council,
that we deal with the resolution, yes.
okay, seconded by Counselor Posthumous. The floor is open and does anyone have any comments? Counselor Duval.
Yes, I think the issue of the small sheds and the buildings are not a problem. Our bylaw says there's no commercial business to be conducted of that zoning, in that zoning bylaw. This is what is happening there. Our resolution says no commercial business to operate it, but it has been operating that way ever since its inception. To say that there's no commercial business operating on site is a moot point. It is a construction yard. It is, the equipment comes and goes. There's more equipment there. There's trailers. There's at least two trucks, at least two Bobcats. It's registered as a construction equipment. I believe it's registered as a business, is it not, Kara?
You'll have to speak to.
Anyway. It was been advertised as that, and I'm still advertised somewhere. Yes, he goes and solicits work out there, which is great. That's what he's doing. But he is operating a business out of that location. There's no two ways about it. And it is in a residential zone. Is it intrusive to the neighboring? We heard the testimony from neighbor on each side. So I can't support this based on that in itself.
Thank you.
And I have no problems with the buildings at all. Our bylaw does state that you can't have commercial business in that area, whether how much business he's doing at home, I don't know, do we, you know? Is it something we want to further look into yet? Table this, I'm not sure. I would be fine with that, I guess. Our bylaw states that, and unfortunately, that's the way it is. And the neighbors are saying there's more than just two pieces of equipment. There's bulldozers, there's a, you know, our other councilor's gone out there and there's been a loader there, so to me, that's not just coming and going and parking two vehicles.
Okay, before us, we have an application for structures and some storage of some equipment that's not very large in the scheme of construction. I need to remind council that just a couple meetings ago, you approved 7 structures on a residential lot. And you also approved a business because they were operating a therapy, some kind of retreat organization where people are coming and going. And they're operating right on the property. And this council had no issues with that. Then I'll remind you that we recently approved on sparing for someone to take home his 53-foot trailer and his semi, along with his other trailers and his other equipment, which amounted to six vehicles on a small residential lot. So my recommendation today is that we table this and for further consideration and to think about our answer when we come back to the table next time. You're talking about an area that has large lots. Majority of these people have equipment on their property. Majority of individuals who have large lots like this tend to have skid steers and trailers and operate something happening on their properties. We all know that. We have lots of landscaping companies in this community, and some of them work out of their houses. So before we make a decision, I think that I would like to table this decision tonight and come back to the table at the next meeting and render a decision then. So I'll hear from Councillor Imhoff now.
I agree, we've approved extra structures multiple times in the last year and change that, that's a fact. And we've definitely approved the parking of the equipment and whatnot, bringing it home from the job site, or operators bringing it home and then leaving with it in the morning. I think we need to look into this a little more. I would support it tonight, so we'd be deadlocked if that's the case.
Yeah, I think that we have to understand that 53-foot trailer and the semi is going out to work every day and coming home, and it's right beside houses that they talked about that they didn't want. And we had a ton of complaints, and we had provincial complaints because he was also parking on Crown property. So I think that we need to take this decision and think about it. And I'm not ready to render a decision tonight, so I'm asking my council to table. Councillor Duval,
I oppose tabling it. I think we should deal with it tonight. And to make a variance order, the purpose of a variance order is to approve or not approve a slightly off the rules of a bylaw, okay? Everyone is dealt with separately on its own merit. You can hardly compare one to the other because we look at all the details surrounding the situation when we deal with a variance order. Or any, so the comparison to some other location, which we may or may not have made the right decision, is invalid. It's pointless. We are dealing with this particular situation right here and how it varies to the bylaw and the details surrounding it, which we've heard over the last hour. I don't think we should, tabling it will not produce any more new information at all. I think we should deal with it tonight.
well, I disagree with you. I think that there's something that, I know you don't like the word precedence, but there's something about that in a community. And you can't cherry pick for one, not consider others. Those came forward with complaints as well, Councillor Duval. And we had a complaint a mile long for the property on Sparing, even a provincial complaint, and we still approved that individual to come and go from his lot. And I think respectfully, as a colleague, if somebody needs to take time to make a decision, you should respect that.
I don't need time, that's what I'm saying. I can't speak for anyone else.
But you're opposing tabling the decision, so you're not
Yes,
you're not respecting it. Okay, well, you don't need the time, but I'm asking for the time.
If the majority want the time and I don't, then the majority wins. That's the way it all works. And I don't mind.
I understand that, but I'm saying respectfully, you should provide the time because you have asked to table things in the past and I've supported. Councillor Imhoff, are you willing to support the table tonight?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Posthumous?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you need us to vote on that?
Yep.
Okay, so all those in favor of voting the resolution?
Table.
Sorry, all those in favor of tabling the resolution tonight, say aye. Okay, opposed? Thank you. Okay. What?
We explained clearly that there was no decision.
All right. Oh, there's no decision tonight. It'll come back to the next meeting and we'll make a decision at the next meeting, which will be in approximately 30 days.
They're fine to go.
Well, they can watch if they want. It's always entertaining. Okay, so we don't have anything under policies. Under general business, we have planning, 9.1.1, resolution to open the public hearing. Is it a public hearing?
No, ma'am.
This isn't a public hearing.
We have a few
Sorry.
items here that don't fall under the.
Okay, so
Just for councils.
just for resolution? Okay, thank you. I'm ready.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 94695 located at 2830 Wenzel Street has submitted an application for subdivision S243079 to subdivide the subject land of 6.17 acres on title 1059446/1 into two lots, lot 1 being 2.5 acres and 251 feet wide, and lot 2 being 3.5 acres, being 266 feet wide. Therefore, be it resolved that subdivision S243079 be approved with the following conditions. Applicant owner submits written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro and Central Gas that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro and Central Gas with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. And two, applicant owner obtains all required variances from the Red River Planning District if required.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Counselor Posthumous, second by Counselor Imhoff. Mr. Planner, are you gonna provide any information?
I'll just run you through just to have some images on the screen for you guys here. So this is the subject property of a odd shaped lot. And what the applicant is looking to do is take it and split, not quite in half, but fairly close as you see listed out the lot sizes. Here's the subdivision application map that shows the existing home buildings and proposed new layouts of the lots. And just additional information that's was already read out. Just a point of interest, the lots are in conformance with the minimum lot sizes. The requirement for variance on your resolution is to deal with too many accessory buildings.
Oh,
So whenever you create a new title, it's a new lot, you have to adhere to all the rules at that time. Any grandfather or anything like that is kind of thrown. So that's what it is.
thank you. Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Okay. Then I have the
Yeah, I would just like to add that a third condition has been added to the resolution. The applicant owner enter into a development agreement with the municipality if required.
okay. Is a development agreement required on a lot split?
Yes, but I always put if required, just, there's been times in the past where something has happened and it wasn't needed, and then we had to come back and pass another resolution. So this is that safeguard.
Okay, so I have a mover and a seconder. Call for the question, all those in favor? That's carried. At least we had an easy one tonight. Okay, 9.1.2 for resolution.
Whereas the applicant owner of tax bill number 5892, tax bill number 58900, located at 3188 Henderson Highway and 3184 Henderson Highway, has made application for subdivision S243077 to adjust the boundaries of the subject plan and to create lot 1 being 0.66 acres, which will be 103 feet wide, and lot 2 being 3.25 acres, which will be 150 feet wide. Therefore, be it resolved that subdivision S24077 be approved with the following condition. Applicant owner submits written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided.
I have a mover, please. Counselor Imhoff, second by Counselor Duval. The planner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As noted, this is for two properties on Henderson Highway. This is actually the same property that you dealt with earlier with the big garage. So we're taking the two properties that we're familiar with, and then just readjusting the lot boundaries to create one lot at the front of the property, and then I guess we can say like a panhandle type of lot, which I think that for the larger new home. There are no concerns from the government agencies, just that an easement's going to be needed by the utilities.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? It's carried. We're done now.
Guys.
You're welcome. 9.1.3 for resolution.
Be resolved that council approve the extension for variation order 130/2023, 18 Tielmann Drive, for a period of 12 months to expire on January 23rd, 2026.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Counselor Posthumous, seconded by Counselor Imhoff. Do you want to run us through this?
Sure, this doesn't come up very often, Madam Mayor. So this was a variance on Tielmann Drive for a front yard setback from 40 feet down to 27 feet. The reason being that it's got an odd little kind of dip in the property.
Yep.
And there's the site plan shown.
Yes,
the applicant.
I remember now.
Proposed house. So what the Planning Act says is that you have 12 months to act upon a variance. Not necessarily get a permit, but you have to act on it, you gotta do something, some sort of forward progression.
Yeah.
The applicant has said they haven't done anything on it, so rather than have to go through brand new hearings and all that sort of thing, the Planning Act also allows council to do an extension to that approval of an additional 12 months, so they can get moving on it. Getting an architect or whatever it is. It's come up maybe handful of times in all of our districts. For the years that I've been there. So our office doesn't have any issues with this.
And there's no way of increasing the variance orders to be just,
No, unfortunately, it's not like some of the other things like the subdivisions where administration can just give a little bit further to make the act straight clear that you have 12 months and we are fairly liberal with that interpretation. We have in the past folks, can you prove this, you've maybe gone to the bank to take out a mortgage for the addition or something shows that you have acted on it, that's all the action is.
okay.
It's happening.
And do they have to, does it cost them money to do extensions?
That's unfortunate.
It does, yeah. Okay.
This is the only one in 8.5 years that we've had,
Okay,
where they couldn't prove.
don't say that because you know there's gonna be more now.
Great.
Topic of next.
That's what happens. Okay, so I'll call for the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. And now 9.1.4 for resolution.
Whereas the applicant, owner of tax roll numbers 78950 and 78930 located at 55 Allison Street, has made application for subdivision S243055 to realign the subject land boundaries between certificate title 2525102-1 of 0.5 acres and certificate title 2167267-1 of 17.35 acres. The proposal will result in two lots, one being 0.84 acres and the other being 16.98 acres. Therefore, be it resolved that subdivision S243055 be approved with the following condition. Applicant owner submits written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided.
Can I have a mover, please?
Here.
Councillor Duval, seconded by Councillor Imhoff.
You know, this is just a simple boundary adjustment between two properties. Here are the two properties there. It has to deal with the property along Allison, which here's the subdivision application map. Just moving the rear property boundary about 80 feet to the east from what I understand, the encroachment type of an issue. So we see this throughout the district quite often. It's nice that neighbors can get together and correct the issue before it becomes problems into the future. We have no objection to this. Thank you.
Now I know why I recognize the gentleman in the audience. Yeah. I was wondering, who is that? I thought maybe you were building the big house on Henderson, but now I know you're leaving us soon. Okay, I'll have a mover, please. Counselor Plus. We have a mover and a
We had a
seconder? Oh, okay, any questions?
No.
Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, so now we have 9.2.1 for, we have a resolution on this one? You're welcome. Have a good night.
The result that council approved a 500 safeguard event on June 24th.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Posthumus, second by Councillor Imhoff. Any comments or questions? This is pretty routine. Every year we provide funds towards Safe Grad for Reverse. We don't have a high school in our community, and a lot of our residents go to Reverse for schooling. So we will be contributing again. So I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Derek. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Derek.
Take care.
Working else you can go and have this much fun, eh?
We always try to entertain you. Bye, Kara. Under. Okay. Under operations, 9.3.1 for resolution.
Be resolved that council approves the request as submitted by Red River Valley Baseball Association and waives the rental fees for baseball diamond number 4 for Saturday sessions of Challenger Baseball between May and June 2025.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Imhoff, second by Counselor Duval. Any questions or comments? Okay, we do this every year too, I believe. So I'll call for the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. So in our package tonight, not a lot to talk about. RMPD put out a builder's bulletin. So there's some information there. And Association of Manitoba Municipalities. The spring convention is coming up. And is it in Winnipeg this time?
In Winnipeg.
Yes.
Oh, yay. But I do like driving to Brandon. I like hanging out there sometimes. So we have a thank you from Grumpy's.
No, just a notice.
Notice it.
Notice?
Yeah.
Thanking the community for, he's closing.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We have a thank you from Grumpy's. I'm looking at just to sum it up, so. Now that it's out in the bag, so Grumpy's is closing. He's thanking for 13 years of, as he says, deliciousness. And so now the curling club, I guess, will miss him, and I'm sure other individuals, maybe even the school across the street. I think they used to pop over for pizza once in a while or something. And maybe we'll see someone else go in there in the future. But for now, Grumpy's is leaving us. So that is a wrap up of the agenda. I'm gonna speak to Sunday afternoon that I had with the community. I had coffee and what I called clarity with the community. It really wasn't my intent to talk about WMR Plan 2050 or the secondary plan, because we've had open houses, we've had multiple conversations around those, and the fact that that comes to a public hearing process. And I did feel that all of council needs to be at those conversations. However, the crowd was not going to move away from it. So Councillor Duval and I had those conversations. Councillor Duval came to see me throughout the afternoon, which was muchly appreciated, Councillor Duval. And I believe the residents appreciated hearing from you as well. So a couple things came out of that. What I heard was that, why are you part of WMR? Leave WMR. That was one of the things. So let's look for a second. Why are we part of WMR? Does anybody at this table know? Charles, you've been here the longest. I mean, I've been here for 6 years, so you've been part of WMR probably since the 80s or whenever it came into play. Can you give me a summary of why we're part of WMR?
Well, my summary is we're joining all the other communities in the area to keep in touch with everything we're doing. If there's any regional things we're looking at to assist each other. There's also the buying fire trucks. We went with Stonewall. We got a fire truck, culverts. Maybe we order culverts with some.
You speak into the mic just because I think someone might be challenged to hear you.
Maybe we're, so a lot of regional stuff. Like I said, we, fire trucks you could order with Stonewall, I believe we did, and a pumper. years ago, and then culverts, you know, by what St. Andrew, St. Clements go together and buy multiple stuff. Just working with your communities in the region. And keeping aware of all that, you may talk about contractors, all different things that are going on.
Right, okay, thank you for that. Does anybody else want to add to why we're with the WMR, why we're members of WMR?
Go ahead.
Well, quite simply, WMR was started in 1998, and its mandate was to effective coordination and cooperation and collaboration between the municipalities in infrastructure and mainly infrastructure, but other things as well. Since 1998. And of course, to do that, you have to have membership of each RM into this organization to take part in all of this. So if you're not in it, you won't know what's going on and you won't get the benefit from the other municipalities around you. So 1998 to now, it's 27 years, 24, 27 years. It's anybody's opinion whether how effective they were through the last decades, but that's beside the point. That's why we're in it.
And so I'll just reiterate, and I think I've said it, and you know, I think as council said it multiple times, in 2019, the province, the administration then, which was the Palliser's government, mandated the WMR to facilitate, not write, but facilitate a regional plan. And at the time, the mayor was Shelley Hart, and she was the co-chair of the WMR at that time. And they facilitated the plan that essentially came before us in, I want to say in 2020, 2021. 2021. And then from there, of course, there was the uproar of municipalities when they realized that there was these density targets that nobody was expecting in the plan. And all the municipalities got together and they, you know, they lobbied for those density targets to be changed. And that happened. And some other edits in the plan became 2.0 or 1.0. Was it first the draft, then 1.0 and then 2.0?
First, the draft with no identification at all of a draft number or date or anything, which I objected to. Then came version 1 and then version 2, and I think that's what we wound up with.
Yeah, and that's what we wound up with. And just for clarity on the plan, WMR was never mandated to approve the plan. They had to hold a public hearing to say that, essentially bless it, to say, we've done all that we can do. We've consulted with all the RMs and communities. The consultants have finished writing the document, and we think that now the province needs to review it and work with it. And the province then would have had to adopt it. And through that public hearing process, it was stopped. Through the public hearings, there was reasons to stop the public hearing. And then the province came out and said that they're gonna create Bill 4. And at first they called it the Freedom Bill. I don't think they're calling that anymore, the Freedom Bill. And that has not been adopted yet. It hasn't had royal assent, so it is not a bill currently. But we have been reviewing the bill and we will have our chance to have comments and speak to, and which we have. Because on February 14th, as I told the community on Sunday, we met with the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Every RM that's part of WMR met with the minister and provided their individual community feedback of what has been happening thus far, because of course we are now under a new administration under the Canoe government. So that was a question about WMR. And, you know, I kept saying that it's important to know that regional planning is important, talking to your neighbors is important, working with your neighbors is important. Now, in Plan 2050 is dead. It is not a document. It never went through the public hearing process. And it never got royal assent. So it is not a document that we should speak to because it is not, it is dead. Apart from that, if WMR is further mandated, which we believe WMR will be, to facilitate a new plan by 2027, if we are not at the table, this community then will have to adopt a plan that we had no voice in. So I said, it is not in our best interest to remove ourselves from the table when something is being created that we will have to and potentially adhere to. And Councillor Duval had echoed those comments. So that is a summary of the question around why are you with the WMR and why aren't you leaving the WMR? The next question is, why? No, the next question was on the voting of the city of Winnipeg at the board table. But the question that was provided to me was, if you're part of WMR, then the city has veto on our decisions, that the city is voting in this municipality. That is not true. That does not happen. The city has that double majority voting power at the board table right now within the WMR. And it has been like that for how long, Councillor?
Ever since the regulations were written for the new capital region board, which came out of Bill 37.
Which came out of Bill 37.
It's not long ago, a couple of years.
Okay, so I have an answer right from the province in regards to the voting structure, and I'm going to read it because we can explain it. And I kept saying, maybe I'm not explaining things right. So I asked for some feedback and I got how will the CPR board make decisions? So the Capital Planning Region Board is the WMR, right? It was renamed. And it says decisions by the CPR, Capital Planning Region Board, require a vote by the board of directors. Decisions will be made using a double majority system, meaning for a motion to pass, it will require two conditions to be met. A, majority of the directors present voting in favor of the motion, and the municipal and the, did they write this wrong? Just a minute. And the municipality appointed directors voting in favor must represent at least 50% of the population of the capital region. This double majority decision making system allows the region to move forward together in a spirit of collaboration and partnership only when the majority of municipalities are in agreement. For example, the CPR's smallest municipality, the village of Donator, has a population of less than 1,000. Residents, meanwhile, the largest municipality, the city of Winnipeg, has a population of about 750,000 residents. However, all municipalities have a single vote worth the same amount regardless of size. As such, a voting system was required that acknowledged that over 85% of the capital region's population lives within the city of Winnipeg, while at the same time ensuring that the city of Winnipeg cannot act unilaterally without the support of a majority of the board. The double majority provides a system in which motions must be supported by the majority of directors present and have support from the city of Winnipeg's director to pass. The voting structure can be changed by regulation. Should a council want to propose an alternative structure, I would recommend that they do so in writing to the province along with the rationale for the alternative structure they propose. Your board can also do the same, as could any individual in Manitoba. It is a provincial decision and it is a regulation. Currently, any regulation change, once considered by government, must be posted or public comments for 45 days before a decision can be made. The board right now is talking about the double majority vote. So we are talking about that, and maybe we will put forward a recommendation to the province. I do know that municipalities talked about it in their meetings with the minister, and I believe we did as well. So this is something that is being talked about, and this government will tell us what that looks like, and I think they'll do that through Bill 4. Regardless, that is how a double majority vote works, and it only works at the board table at the CPR board. It doesn't come into this municipality. The city of Winnipeg is not making decisions on whether that individual can store on his property, nor are they making decisions on whether a subdivision can happen in our municipality. That is strictly for the Capital Planning Region Board. So I hope that clears that question up. The next question that we heard was there anything else in regards to WMR?
Well, there were a few people adamant that we pull out of it now.
And that's why I talked about why we're at the WMR table and you know, and so I am going to talk about the pullout now. I will do that. I got some more information, so I'm going to read that as well. Okay. Okay. So I received this on Sunday, and I'll give a copy of each of my counselors for transparency. And it's basically demanding that we remove withdrawal from the WMR. And telling us that we need to take immediate steps and remove ourselves and reject Plan 2050. Well, Plan 2050 is not a document. We don't have to worry about that. So I'll read to you some information from the director of the Capital Planning Region to provide context in regards to removing ourselves if anyone removed themselves from the WMR. Okay. So it says Bill 4 was given first reading in November 2024. When Bill 4 is given second reading at the Legislative Assembly, it will undergo review and must be fully debated. It will then be given third reading and receive royal assent before becoming law. We anticipate second reading this spring, but the timeline remains uncertain. Municipalities have until October 2026 to decide whether they wish to withdraw or remain at the CPR table. Once the bill is passed, a municipality wishing to withdraw may do so by passing a council resolution and submitting it to the Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations before the next municipal general election in October 2026. Upon receipt, it is the minister's duty to amend the CPR regulation to formalize the withdrawal. There is no set timeline for this process. The 180-day timeline does not apply until a regional planning bylaw, i.e. the regional plan, which is mandated currently potentially to 2027, is in place, which we do not currently have. This timeline will only apply after October 2026 when a new regional plan is in effect, if it's in effect. Reminder, Plan 2050 is not moving forward in the adoption process. We are now in consultation to develop a regional plan that reflects municipal input. So that should provide some clarity around the document that says that the 180 days is enacted and we need to remove ourselves now. We are not removing ourselves. Right now, we're waiting for Bill 4 to review Bill 4 once it has royal assent. And like I've said, and I'll say many times moving forward, I do not believe in removing ourselves from the table, and I don't believe in removing us from regional planning. That is an error in municipal politics.
Can you send me that, so
I will send it to you. Yes, I got them today and
sponsor?
yes.
Because the way Bill 4 reads right now, in its current state, there's some confusion there. And in one place it says you have to withdraw within 180 days of a review that has been called. Well, the province has called a review. They called it in December.
There's no regional plan though.
No, I know. But whatever review, what the plan is, the plan that's just gone, okay? They have to have a review of the plan. That's
And the plan is not existing.
Yeah.
So the
So-
180 days doesn't
so
work.
180 days from December or sometime in June. But then later in the bill says, like the mayor just read out, that you can choose to withdraw up to October 26th, which is the next municipal election. Okay. Now, one of the issues I have a problem with, and I'll have to read that document again carefully to understand what it says, but the rewrite of Plan 2050, the new document, they were given 2 years, presumably WMR, to come up with the replacement. 2 years. That'll bring us to the end of 2026. In fact, the date is January 1st, 27. They have to have that replacement document submitted, passed, I guess. Well, if the deadline for withdrawing is October 26th, we may not see this new plan. And maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, and
I
again,
think
I
you're
want to.
interpreting it wrong. Yeah.
So we can't decide if we're in or out if we can't see the plan. That's simple as that. But apparently there's further follow-up, what you just read, and please send me a copy and I'll go over it.
I'll send you a copy of it. Okay, so that was, well, that's that. And then we move on. Of course, there was conversation around the secondary plan. Are you finding a new consultant because there's going to be tariffs? No. We're almost done. There'll be no tariffs on what we're doing. So that was the answer to that. And the question, and then just back to the secondary plan that, it's frustrating to try to explain, the secondary plan sometimes because I'm being told that this will apply to all of East St. Paul. But we know that that's not true. We saw that tonight. We have a development plan that adheres to Wenzel. And, the recommendation was to stick within the plan and not provide first reading. So the secondary plan is for the lands that they are created from, right? So we're considering 1,000 acres of land. Those lands are part of that secondary plan. You can have 10 secondary plans in your community. You can have a secondary plan for all the different areas of your community. However, we don't need that because most of our community is developed and we have already those bylaws in place. So we know what goes next door to it. We know what works beside it. We know what should be there. But on the opposite side of 59 Highway, the east side of 59 Highway, we don't have anything to conform to, right? So this is why we're setting the rules for the future. And that future is far in advance. If you understand how long it takes development to happen, it takes a long time. And it's really on the merit of applicants coming forward, landowners coming forward and wanting to develop their land. We can't force them, nor do we own land to develop. So those landowners have to come forward. And, but we also have to have the guidelines, the regulations, the bylaws, and the structure for them to work off of. Otherwise, they go to the drawing board and they start drawing away. Then they come before us and we say no, and we've wasted everyone's time, people's money, we've stressed out the community. So that is why secondary plans are important and bylaws created from those are important. That is how, you know, you have a Pritchard Farm Properties, you have a Silver Fox development, you have Countryside Crossing, you have, I mean, by the park, that is all conforming to what is in your general area. And I think that when you're thinking about planning and you're thinking about how communities grow, you have to think back to 50 years ago. What did this community look like? It didn't look like it is today. And that's because the market changes and the consumer changes. People who had 20 acres of land slowly went to 5 acres, 10 acres of land, and 5 acres of land, and 2 acres of land, and 1 acre of land. And then they got into these smaller lots like 17,000 square foot lot, 15,000 square foot lot, 10,000, 8,000. And that is how East St. Paul was developed. And that is why we're all here today. So I have a hard time when I have someone standing in front of me saying that I don't want development, but the only way that we're here is through development. And we're here because people gave up their land. Essentially, they provided that development for next generations to come and live in our community. And I feel that's important. And so we're not going to live the way we live today in 50 years from now. We're not going to live the way, you know, our grandparents lived. We don't live like that today. You have to think about the generations to come, the generations now. You know, I have a 27-year-old daughter. They're really not interested in having a lot. Like, they want experiences. So it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of living, right? And we have to consider that in planning and markets and dictations. So it's interesting. Planning is interesting, but we have to take so much into consideration when you're considering the future. And, you know, you're essentially growing for tomorrow. And this municipality can't stand still, because if we start standing still, we're going to start seeing some serious increase to property tax because we can't sustain it. You know, I mean, inflation happens and things cost more money. And that is why we need to keep growing in a sustainable, respectful way to East St. Paul. Can't stand still. That's why we have Countryside Crossing and all those other new developments.
I think it's a fact that East St. Paul is the only RM in the immediate area that does not have a secondary plan for any. Well, I think we explained clearly. I don't know how much it sank in, the reason why we have a secondary plan. The mayor just touched on it there in plain language. Plain language, we have a secondary plan because we do not want to see another proposal coming our way that we took, like the ones we turned down on the golf course. Those would have been a disaster, and we dodged a bullet when the municipal board, you know, finally sided with us. But, and it's in a secondary plan moving ahead now. When we look at the problem with our wastewater treatment plant situation, yes, we're going to have a new one. It's going to take from now till when it's up and operating, even at the best estimate of 6 or 7 years or something like that. The reason why that municipal board sided with us is because we couldn't service them with the wastewater. They didn't say anything about the density. We couldn't service them with wastewater. And we wondered, well, what if we did it? What if we had that capacity? I think they would have overturned our decision. So that is where, like I say, we dodged the bullet. We want to avoid that. And the secondary plan is kind of a roadblock ahead of a proposal like that. Now, is it going to mean that, well, it's going to be 6 or 7 years now before we have to worry about that? No. As soon as a treatment plant is just conceptually designed and the funding is in place, once the funding is in place, it's a go-ahead. That is when developers can move in. That's what they're waiting for. They're not waiting for the plant to actually run. They just want to know when the funding is in place and the thing is a go ahead. Now you're looking at 3 or 4 years construction or whatever it is. That's when they're going to start. So they're going to work on their development and to coincide the timing with the treatment plan. So we hope to have our funding in the next couple of years, I guess. I hope it doesn't take that long, but it probably will. So therefore, we have to have this secondary plan in place and tuned up and blessed and all the gamut that has to run so that it exists when possibility of another development comes along. I don't know. We explained that, I thought, pretty well. I don't know if it sank in too hard. It's complicated. It's complicated for us. So when you talk to residents that are, they're not in the game like we are, it's difficult for them to understand. There's no question about it. And I just hope they got some kind of a sense that, they can trust that we have that we're got the best interest of the community all around at heart here. It was an interesting afternoon.
And, it's, I'll use the Sobeys as an example. We have a community member I think she's probably 94 now, and she petitioned very hard for that Sobeys. And she's lived her whole life, was born in East St. Paul's, lived her whole life here. And the community came out in rage over the Sobeys. And she fought so hard to get that Sobeys in town. And she says when we talk about it, she says, and it drives me crazy when I see the people that opposed it walk in to buy their milk and their bread. So I understand that change is, it's hard and there's uncertainties and, there's unknowns in it. But you have to entrust in the people, our staff members, our planners, our engineers, our staff in operations. Everybody takes part in development in those decisions. It's not just this people, nor is it just the center seat. It is not just the mayor that makes decisions in this community. It is a council as a whole. It is a bureaucrats in our community, in our operations. It is everybody that participates in a decision of this municipality. And it gets a little frustrating when it gets, narrowed down to the center seat. It shocks me, as a matter of fact. And so I will say that, I will debate my council if I have a belief. And if I think that, a decision has to be made a certain way, Councillor Duval and I will yell at each other and get quite angry with each other. But yet we walk out of here friends because we know that that is just part of the job. And so, to those that criticize and think that the mayor's making all these decisions, I have 4 guys up here and I have a whole team behind me, and that's how we make decisions in this community. It's not just a center seat decision. It is the whole community that makes those decisions, and it's our voices that are up here and speaking for that. And so being an elected official is not an easy thing to do at all. Being in the public eye is not easy, but we're human, we have families. And I think that we have to find a little bit more respect for elected officials in the world today. Because if we don't have them, and if they start dropping off the good ones, what's coming behind us could not be what everybody wants. You think it's what you want, but it might not be what you want. So for those elected officials that today are my colleagues and my friends that are talking about not coming back to the table because of the hate and the social media crap, I'm behind you on that. I don't know if I'll be here in 2026, and it won't be because someone voted me out, it's because I have respect for myself and for my family and for my community. That's why I wouldn't be here in 2026. But as for the rest of the questions, it was really focused around the secondary plan, WMR, and Plan 2050. And Plan 2050 is not going to be spoken about in this RM anymore because it is not a document, it is dead. And as for WMR, we will see what happens with Bill 4. and I'll tell my council another thing is that there was a lot of people from different communities trying to come to coffee and clarity with the mayor. And that again is a problem because this is for our residents, right? And it's not just the business owners or someone who wants to buy land in our community. Anybody can say anything to sit in on a meeting. We have meetings for our community. If I'm talking, I really wanted the meeting to be about, we had a couple of couples that hung back just to ask questions that they generally had about maybe their surroundings, their house, their drainage, just small questions that, they're concerned about that they never got to have an opportunity to speak on. And, that's what those meetings are for. It's sit down with your elected official. But I wasn't comfortable talking about those issues without all of my council present. I think that Councillor Duval and I handled it well, but moving forward, when I have these meet and greets, I'll pick topics and we'll start doing topics opposed to just an open floor, because I need to talk about other things that are happening in this municipality other than the mayor's in conflict. The mayor makes all the decisions. The mayor hires her friends. If you look at the system is structured to alleviate all that. And we know that every decision is made up here as a whole. So I'm not having those conversations at Coffee and Clarity. I'm having conversations with individuals who want to talk about their community, how we better our community, how we work together, and how we find solutions. Did I miss anything from the event?
No, not really. Well, one point I think we should clarify on the secondary plan. And we're all going to get questions as the days and the months go by here. And one misconception that the people have, and we try to explain it, and so I don't know if it sunk in, that secondary plan is not a carved in stone plan. Okay? Remember we went through that discussion of how these little lots are shown on there? Well, it doesn't mean that. It's not a bylaw. It's written by a consultant. It's not a decision made by council. But it is not cast in stone. And they made a big deal out of one little line in the plan there where it says, when we're talking multifamily high rises, 3 to 5 story. 3 was okay, 5 they were dead set against, but they simply thought that if that plan goes through as written, then 5-story buildings are going to go in there. Well, that's not true at all. Anything has to pass through development, the whole process through council. And we can, and I don't think they understand this too, even though the mayor mentioned it a couple of times, and I mentioned it at least once. We cannot turn down a request, any kind of a request from a developer. You can come in and request 12 stories. Is he going to get them? Well, we'll see. But they were hung up on that 3 to 5 simple little line in that document. And I kept saying, it doesn't matter. You could take that 5 out of there, that's fine. Maybe we should have said that. Okay, we'll take it out. That still means a developer can come and ask for a 7-story building. It doesn't make any difference at that stage.
Yeah, because it's the framework. It is not the bylaws, it's the framework. And so it's policy, not bylaws, and it's not the approval mechanism. It is one step towards making approvals. And if you don't have it, what happens is you have applications that, are really out there. The last application we saw potentially would have had 700 multifamily units in one building. And because of the way we couldn't calculate it, and Derek presented that at the municipal board here, and he says, this is a potential of this because we can't calculate it. Because the bylaw that they were trying to create that we would have had to adhere to had no ceiling on multifamily. So if you don't have a ceiling, the ask is whatever it is, right? So, and that was the bylaw that they were asking us to pass, because we didn't have a bylaw in place. So it's time for us to, move forward, get this, get all this structure in place. It's, I will say that, I was not roasted and I was not, embarrassed and I was not, no one was yelling. I thought that overall, the meeting was constructive, except for, it's just, you're constantly repeating yourself. And it's hard. It gets to the point where it's like, I don't know if I'm saying it wrong. I don't know if I'm explaining it right. So how do I explain it better? And that's something that I have to think about. And that's why I'm taking up some time right now to talk about it. Because, these are questions and, you try to provide answers. I know it. I understand planning. I understand planning for 25 years. And it's just like, Charles, if I said to you, explain to me how you wired that panel and how come that breaker has to be, arc felt and that one is like that. Like, I don't know, but because that's your field and it's in your head, right? And so for me, I try to explain it, but at the end of the day, we don't control applicants coming forward for us. But we have to have the mechanisms in place to guide it, deny it or approve it. And that's what you do. That is what governance is. That is what everything we're structured around. So, yeah, it's a lot. So does anybody want to ask questions about Sunday?
We're about 50 people here.
Oh, wow,
I counted them.
that's good then,
It is.
because now you got 50 people telling other people. If they understood.
And it's not so much as they understood it, but it's also just, we had people come up in the beginning from Rosser and they're like, and I said, I can't, you have to talk to your council.
How did they find out about that?
Well, online spreads like wildfire. I mean, Facebook is for your,
So you, out of the 50, there were quite a few non-East St. Paul.
I would say no, I think.
there was, that corner was not East St. Paul. Right in here was not East St. Paul. There were several that weren't East St. Paul. And we denied several that weren't East St. Paul too, because this is for community. It's not a public hearing. And even if it's a public hearing, if you're not from this community, your voice isn't heard. So this is about community. This is
Interesting.
about sidewalks, rec center, pedestrian walks. This
Trails.
is about roads, trails,
Dog
parks, dog park, lights. Like, what does the community want? What are they talking about? That's how we engage with them. But when we're hijacked over things that we've had open houses on, we've had public hearings on, that is where that should filter to, right? And this is where this is. I was criticized for calling it the other side of 59 highway. Does anybody else have a way to explain it? Because geographically, it's the other side of 59 highway. It's the east side of 59 highway. So how would you explain the lands in question, Charles?
I always
Because
say,
I don't know how else to explain it without being criticized now.
I always say it's the opposite. It's on the other side of 59, East St. Paul, but it's on the other side of 59. Like it's.
Just like I said we have on the other side of the perimeter.
Mentioned Breaker Road. That's
So I know the roads,
main roads.
but the land in question.
There's that. It's on the-
McGregor Farm Road, yeah, Wenzel.
So I was
The
struggled,
Wenzel turn off to get into the other side.
yeah, like I struggled. We're talking about the lands in the secondary
It was easier when the golf course was there, then they knew where it was.
meadows.
They always say, oh, the Meadows area. And that's a name they've gone with for
Well, there,
Meadows area.
Yeah, but if you're explaining it, it's, when I'm talking to people, I use roads as, you know, markers. When someone asks me for directions, they'll say, what's the cross street? Huh? Cross street is Wenzel.
Maybe we should have a little. Maybe we should have a little contest here to name that area. It'll be called, it'll be a neighborhood type, just like Glengarry and Pritchard Farms and all these other areas. As opposed to the over there designation.
But we can't do that because we don't own the lands.
Right,
So
because,
that is named by the developers.
There'll be multiple developers.
I know, but that's just the way it's gonna be. We
and
can't
Broken
name,
Head, would they be broken there?
yeah, whatever Broken Head.
Maybe
decides
that's,
to name it.
maybe it'll call Broken Head.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Nonetheless, it's eventually will become a name and overall we're East St. Paul, but I live in Pritchard Farm Properties. So when someone says to me, where do you live? I say Pritchard Farm Properties.
Whatever the developer calls it.
You know, it's it depends, like Countryside Crossing.
Yeah.
How was that named? That was named by the family?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was named by the family. Rebec Road, named by the Rebecks because they owned all the land down there.
By the park was because it was by Benham Park.
Right, it was by the park. And they didn't have any roots in the community, that developer, right? So it was more of a name
It
that,
was next door to a big park.
yeah. So sometimes when our landowners have roots, they use their names and that, but, or family names on streets. But all in all, I mean, I'm gonna continue to do these. You guys got me to almost the end of 2026. And I'm not going anywhere. And I don't have a conflict. I don't own land on the other side of 59 Highway. And you know, to all those libel and defamatory comments, one day someone will be held accountable to it. It's unfair to elected officials, the scrutinizing that we go through. So I'll wait to see how long my speech lines on Facebook. Sure, it'll be there shortly. But that's okay with me because you just power through it. You get up every day and you do the job that you know that you're meant to do. And other than that, I hope to debate my counselor in the next meeting on a public hearing.
get ready.
Yeah, I mean, council's welcome to join those coffee and clarities. You know, a lot of people hung back to thank us and they liked having the ability to come talk to us because we don't always get that chance, you know, like to be in front of community. And if we are in front of community, we're up here, right? And half the time we're leaving, you know, and we don't have an audience. Lately, we've had one individual consistently come to our public hearings, but we don't have an audience. So it'd be nice to see more individuals come out and find out what we're doing and what we're up to. But most of what we're doing and up to is what people are asking of us.
You could also in an individual ward on and time.
Well, you know, your
Topic, you could do like coffee and clarity for everybody to come from Ward 4, everybody to come from Ward 1.
yeah. So Charles, I welcome you to do that. Like I'm just doing it as the center seat and I represent the whole community.
Okay.
But if you said that you wanted to do this once a month for Ward 4, I would come out and support you through that. And, you know, or every 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
But I think it's imperative that you give your residents the ability to come out and talk to you and ask questions. And when I was a counselor, I tried to engage as much as I could. But I think, you know, if you do it, I'll be there. I'll support you through it. I mean, it's not, it's good, it's the bad, it's the ugly. It is politics, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to take it with a grain of salt and move on. And, you know, sometimes it's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's interesting because it's interesting to hear and understand everybody's perception, right? And if you can at least provide information to one person that will provide information to another person, then there's a more of an understanding. And we'll continue to use the newsletter to put out information and provide that. That's our only avenue of that, and our emails. But you've been a counselor for a long time, like 20 some years now, right? Yeah. So
18,
A rookie.
18 years.
So maybe it's time that, you know, you guys come and take all the punches for me. I feel like I'm holding the bag all the time, so center seat gets the harshness of it. I swear, you could float in a counselor seat for years. But that center seat, it's like, it's shocking how it's considered different. We're one vote. I'm the same vote as you, one vote. But it is considered that we are making all the decisions. It's like, no, I'm not. It's not possible to make all the decisions. I don't even agree with everything that you guys do, nor do you agree with how I vote, but it's how we vote. We vote with an open mind, with critical thinking, and we make decisions.
Well, people watched today, they would have seen the conversations and the votes.
Yeah, and how it got heated.
And
So,
discussion.
I mean, that's
don't always
democracy, right? You can't always agree.
No.
But we're always friends. That's the most important thing. Hey, anything else anybody wants to add or talk about? Do we have anything in camera tonight? We do have a budget meeting coming up,
Yes.
so I'd really like everyone to think about,
Schedules, yes.
yeah, so really, you know, start thinking about that budget conversation. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's important. And you know, we're always thinking about how we're going to reach everybody with the secondary plan too, because I see the same faces coming out. So I want to see some different faces and start reaching other people. So we're going to think about that as well. And I don't know, looking forward to summer. Oh, I was thinking that for our East St. Paul Day, it'd be nice if we could have an evening social. Do you know what I mean? Because last time it felt like people wanted to like stay and dance and have a good time. And the band shut down last time. I can't remember what time it was, but I mean, I felt like we could have had a nice, like, fun social.
Used to have.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Nice community social. And we could donate the money to, you know, the fire truck or the fire hall, or, you know, we need a new fire hall. We can take that money and donate it to something that we need to do. But I think that'd be a lot of fun.
We're having fireworks, I understand.
Yes, aren't you excited?
I am.
Me
Great.
too.
Do we know where?
Well, it'll probably be at the arena.
Years ago.
Brown is working on that right now.
I mean, ideally, it'll be at the arena, then everybody stays in the one location. 'Cause as soon as you get the gang moving to somewhere else,
Years
get
ago,
them back to the,
we had them at the arena and we didn't even own all that other land, which we now own the other 10 acres, so it should be.
Yeah, no, I think that the fireworks and a social, Counselor Duval might play a little bit on the keyboard. Oh, and Counselor Ostumas might sing and play the guitar. So look at that, we can
we'll
have
need
a,
some heavy practice. Also.
I can't sing and I can't play an instrument, so maybe I'll have the tambourine or whatever it is, I'll shake that. Counselor Imhoff, do you play an instrument?
I do not.
Okay, well, we'll.
Can you learn?
Drums.
Get some maracas.
We'll do something. But yeah, I think it'd be fun, so. Okay, I know you guys are all sad, but I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
The result that the meeting adjourns, the time being 8:14 p.m.
Moved by Counselor Postumus, seconded by Counselor Imhoff. Call for the question, all those in favor? That's carried. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.